Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Well, we're live, and I got noise happening from over there. So hold on a second. Hold on, folks. Hold on. Stupid alarm went off. All right, here we go. We are live from Hamilton, Ontario. You don't know this, but it's ×2 and Toronto, Ontario. It is Coffee Talk with Ryzak and Jeff. Ryzak is not here. He is off in England. What's he doing? He's off in England getting knighted. I think he's in Wales, and we will have a guest appearance from him later. You just don't know that yet. And I topped up my coffee, and I forgot it upstairs. Damn it. Anyways, we have two awesome guest hosts. You know them. You've seen them before. You know one of them. Both of them were on the Business of episode number 1 when we talked fundraising. We are going to bring in and both of them, fun fact, both of them are parents of Twitch superstars. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, we're going to bring on the fierce mother herself, and B. Rosenfield, and then we're going to bring on the gingerhead dad himself, which everybody knows. James Tiberius Martin.
Fun fact, the T in my middle name stands for Edward.
There you go.
Yep.
That's so weird because the T in my middle name also stands for Edward.
I see. This is why we're here this morning.
100%.
Hey, look, Ryzak is in the chat. Ryzak live from the Wales. He is here. Right? I should have sent him the show. I should have sent him the link to the show, shouldn't I? But he's a smart boy. He could figure out how to get it. So
now, could I clarify? Ryzak is Wales watching?
Yes. He is.
Yeah.
Technically, he's Wales watching. Is that what you call people who live in Wales?
Well, I don't know how to say it in Welsh. Oh, wait, I do. They're Cymric, aren't they?
I don't know.
We will take your word for it.
I seem to have confused everyone. So,
it's Saturday morning and Jeff doesn't have his coffee, so.
I don't. I left my coffee up. I went upstairs to.
We are already backfooted.
Right? He had to go find it. If he had an iPhone, he could use his AirTags to find his cup of coffee.
I know exactly where it is.
Okay.
I know exactly where it is. So,
okay,
Ann, for the people who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who your famous son is?
Because
he is pretty famous. I believe. Do the proud mommy moment.
Okay. So I am the proud mother of Atmospheres, Twitch streamer extraordinaire, drag queen without parallel. And I'm also the proud parent of Maggie, the much less social media exciting child. And
but she's a nurse.
But she's a nurse.
So that is equally important.
Yeah, cats and dogs do live together in pandemonium. You are 100% right, Grow Resin. 100%. Our cat and our dog. One time I was on a meeting for work and they lost their mind. So my boss was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It evidently the expression fight like cats and dogs is literally true." So there is dog in the background and perhaps there will be cat in the background on this screen. Anyway, enough about me. Let me now. What do you think about
now? Why is Atmosphere Twitch star extraordinaire? What did he win last year?
He won the Crown cosplay competition. So he did a 5-week reality maker show, and then won.
And he won, and he was on stage at TwitchCon in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just some 2-bit Canadian thing. He was on stage at TwitchCon.
Ouch! You said it. I didn't. on stage with Alicia Marie and Yaya Han, who, if you're in the cosplay world, are pretty big people.
There you go.
Large in stature, small in size.
So yeah, that's a big deal. He was on stage at TwitchCon, not just that. Like he was there, like with all of the, you know.
Oh, he he was on stage. They flew him out there. They paid to fly him out there. They paid for his hotel. Like he was a guest. He was a guest of Twitch.
That's right. How many of us can say that?
Well, he was also just a guest at Rooster Teeth.
I did not know that.
See, hang around the cool kids.
A guest at what?
Rooster Teeth.
I was going to ask. Hope you were going to ask.
It's another platform.
Coffee was delivered. Coffee was delivered to me. It's what? Another what? Another what?
It's another platform.
Got it. Okay. All right. I'll Google that after the show. At the moment, I'll just nod knowingly, like I know what it is.
And Jim, what is your claim to fame? You are videographer extraordinaire.
I am a production assistant to Oliver every other Saturday night on super spectacular Saturday Skylander stream. Right? That's so you have Swarm.
Exactly.
I also have Swarm. If I can figure out where the camera is.
We're twinsies.
Yes.
I'm going to smile and nod knowingly and Google that later.
Right. Okay. And
you stop into the Saturday show, so you know.
I do. It's an excellent show.
Yes, but you don't always see the variety of Skylanders on display.
Oh no, you do a wide shot and we see them all.
Yeah, you do a wide shot. We get to see the whole table, and then you post on social when you went to that thing, and there were a lot of them on sale, and it was very exciting.
That's my life story. I went to that place with a lot of things,
and it was very exciting.
It was. My gosh, was it ever exciting?
He was very excited. He was. I'm not sure who was more excited, Jim or the guy selling to Jim.
Right. I think probably we were at about equal levels of excitement, but for very different reasons. The seller was thinking, "Thank goodness someone is buying this," after me bringing it to every show for the last 5 years. And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I own this on my Skylander spreadsheet now."
Oh my gosh, you have a Skylander spreadsheet?
Actually, I have a couple.
He does.
As
one does.
Yes, and there's also one for Disney Infinity. So there's the Skylanders I own and want. There's the Skylanders that Oliver has and wants, because his goal is apparently to get a collection like mine. There is the Skylanders I have to buy next. And then there is the Disney Infinity spreadsheet, which it took a long time to get that going, because I thought, I'm not going to buy any more Disney Infinity stuff. And then I realized,
who am I kidding?
Yeah, exactly. I'm weak.
At least you know yourself, Jim.
Ice cream, Skylanders. I would say chili cheese dogs. I'm in.
Oh my gosh, chili cheese dogs! You should go to Cincinnati.
There may be other reasons to go to Cincinnati too. A chili cheese dog was not on the top of my list, but I could go to Dayton to the 8th Air Force Museum and then continue on to Cincinnati. You could.
Mm-hmm. You could indeed.
Mm-hmm. So is this unscripted, Jeff? Are we?
It is.
We're not running afoul of any Writers Guild of America.
We are not, but we're gonna. Okay. But that's good foreshadowing. We like to foreshadow on this show. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later. Coming soon. One question that I want to ask you before we dive into our main topic. And I saw this on a podcast this week, and I already know the answer because it's the same answer for everybody except this one dude. The question was, when you get out of the shower and you're ready to get dressed, what is the first thing you put on? And this one guy said he puts his socks on first. And he was a guest on this podcast. And the other guy on the podcast said, what do you, like, you sit on the bed? And he goes, no, not with my wet towel. I stand there and I put my socks on, which everyone else thought they'd be falling over at that point. So I'm not going to ask you that question, but it's a rhetorical question for the chat. But other than obviously the underwear, does anyone else put anything else on first? But
the only thing I will say,
or what do you think of this guy who puts his socks on first? The idiot.
The only thing I will note, I'm on team underwear first. There might be a rare occasion, like at some place where, I might on a rare occasion put flip-flops on straight out of the shower first, right?
Sure. If you're at a hotel, or if you're at
or something, if I'm putting something else on first, there's a reason for it, like fear of foot fungus, say.
Sure. If you're in a public sort of, if you're at a bathhouse, let's say, for example.
I'm going to suggest that maybe it's a little early on Saturday to talk about foot fungus, but that's just me.
No limits on this show. No limits on this show. No limits on this show.
Good.
Okay. All right. Okay. I want to be. I want to split hairs a little bit here.
Oh dear. The fact that I don't wear neither socks or underwear, is that?
Well, it's,
okay. You think foot fungus? We're too early in the day for that, but that's right. That's not too much.
Everyone knows it. Everyone knows I'm on record. We're in the middle of a pandemic, folks. Who wears underwear? Just saying.
Yeah. What do we put on first after a shower? Are we talking articles of clothing, or are we talking anything?
I did ask this, and someone said, and she was a female, she said she does put on socks first because she puts lotion on her feet first.
Yes. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. So she puts lotion on first.
But she also sits down to do that. She doesn't stand there like a,
Right. So I feel validated.
Like some Jedi balancing on one foot.
Well, that would be cool if you could do like the force put on sock thing. That would be great.
Mr. Miyagi, when you stand there with the remember in the Karate Kid when he would stand there and he would do the one foot thing. Yeah.
Right. What was the show where someone was pushed down a chute and their clothes came on? I'm not thinking about Batman.
Oh.
Anyhow, perhaps someone can remember that show. But since you said lotion first and then socks, I feel comfortable sharing that it's deodorant first, moisturizer, then Gitch.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes. But if it's specifically article of clothing, it's the underwear.
You're you're an underwear man, so to speak.
He's team underwear.
Yes.
Team underwear.
I sometimes deodorant after I put the shirt on like an idiot.
Well, who among us hadn't gone, oh, oops?
Yes.
Sometimes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sometimes. It's going to rain here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So it may be pajamas all day today.
Okay.
So,
fair. One of the teenagers in the house may not make an appearance until 1 o'clock. So
it's true.
Oh, that's early. Wow. Your kids get up early.
Right. Well, they get up early on Sunday because waffles.
Of course.
Yes. You wouldn't get up for waffles.
Which goes well with coffee.
It's true. I guess I need to make a waffle appearance one Sunday.
Absolutely. You have an open invitation.
But said teenager will be leaving gym shortly.
Yes.
You will be a house of two. You were losing 1/3, 33% of your household.
That's right. I don't think it'll turn out to be. I'll be losing 33% of the food budget. I think. I think somehow that'll still be much closer to 100% of what's being spent now.
Right. Right. But less cooking, less waffles to make.
Well,
you'll have to cut your waffle. Remember, you're gonna have to.
You're offering to fill in that waffle.
I'm gonna have to fill in that waffle gap every Sunday.
Right. Well, and that was going to be my point, Jeff. That there'll still be as many waffles because the waffle maker has 4 elements.
I see.
So, so the reality is that either then I'm eating 1 waffle a day until Wednesday morning, or you're coming to save me from the waffle deluge.
Right. And where does a chicken sandwich, 2 chickens, French fries, popcorn chicken, and a water fill into this? Is my
well, I think
that's your next Toronto road trip, isn't
yes.
it?
that is my next Toronto road trip.
Yes. But I think they might have a location in Mississauga too.
I do not know.
Really?
That. Yeah, but
Wow,
I really want to meet. I really want. I really,
that's a burn.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Wow.
Sorry, Ryzak.
Yeah, and
he's on a boat, so he doesn't.
Right.
You're going to win Miss Congeniality, evidently.
I think that's probably exactly how the awards are being given. They've probably been determined in advance. That's just my cynicism. If Ryzak is on a boat in the middle of the Irish Sea, I think we need to talk about cell service that may be better than certain parts of urban Canada.
Possibly, but he said it was buffering, so it may not be. He did pay extra to get the whole international,
right?
Data plan.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but wouldn't the boat have Wi-Fi?
Where would it be connected to?
I don't know. I don't know.
Jim,
I don't know its life.
Wi-Fi is connected.
They have Wi-Fi on planes, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, Wi-Fi is connected to
satellite.
Space.
Yes.
And space
as
around the Earth, Jim, not just the land.
Fair enough. The Russians have discovered
remember the Earth is flat, Jim.
I thought it was flat-ish.
Oh, is it?
Or roundish. If we go with those, then we can please everyone.
Yeah, I thought it was flat, just straight flat. They could put Elon net. They could get Elon net.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Please.
I think I think the Earth is flat because the oceans are no longer carbonated. I believe that passed in the Carboniferous period.
Too much plastic. Too much plastic in the oceans is flattening the Earth. Is that?
No. I'm thinking that someone left the cap off the Earth too long, and the oceans are flat.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well,
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to talk big discussion around Miss Netherlands, and we're going to talk about some movies, and then of course we're going to hear about stuff, and of course I'm going to give our guests 5 guesses. Although there may be a mutiny. We'll have to see about that. As always, our show is sponsored by Wondershare. Link in description. You've seen my cool videos I've been making lately? It's all because of my friends at Wondershare, adding in some fancy graphics and sound effects, and the music was from them too. So, and of course, we have our 2 guests. And of course,
thought you did the music yourself. I thought you were a noted composer.
No, that's Bruce Campbell. Okay. That's Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
So this came up last week, but we're going to talk about it this week. A transgendered woman, Ricky Valerie Cole.
I think that
Miss Netherlands 2023. Now, I asked this question. We talked about this in the group chat earlier, and Anne had a whole history of the Miss Universe comp, and I actually didn't know it was no longer owned by Mr. Trump. But I guess he had to sell it.
There you go.
When he became president. I did not. There was a lot of facts in there I did not know. So, Anne, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
There's nothing to discuss. I mean, a beautiful woman, complete, generally speaking, beautiful women win beauty pageants. What's there to discuss?
People are upset because when she was born, she may have been identified differently. Mistakenly or not, by the doctors. I don't know how old the person is. Does it say how old
you forced me to Google this because
I forced you to Google it.
So people are.
In fact, Anne is the Google.
So let's
I was going to say,
and
you Google everything.
People are upset because they feel she was born. They feel she was born male, is what they feel. And they feel that she's a woman. And if there's an upsetness about this, evidently they feel this is somehow false pretenses. So I would say lots of things to this, starting with, I think we all know ourselves best. She feels she's a woman. Clearly, Miss the Miss Universe pageant degrees. And I will say to you, as someone who was assigned female at birth, do you know how I know she's a woman? Because men can't fucking shut up talking about giving their opinions about what she looks like, what she should be, what she shouldn't be, what is, what isn't. So, whether she ought to be Miss Universe, whether or not women ought to wear a hijab, whether or not women are asking for it when they wear scanty clothing, like we spend our lives telling people with random strangers, talking about our appearance and what we should or shouldn't look like. So to me, I feel she's a woman. The Miss Universe competition feels she's a woman, but as someone who was born, was identified at birth as a woman and who identifies as a woman, I'm saying we know she's a woman because people are talking about her appearance instead of talking about the content of her character or personality.
That's a good point. No one has ever brought that up. And it's probably old white guys like me. If I had to stereotype that comment, it's probably white guys like me. And here I am. I brought it up. Look at that.
There you go.
I fit that stereotype, apparently, folks. Jim, any comments?
Well, I discovered in Googling, I don't have Anne's astonishing Google skills.
No ChatGPT in any of this?
But Ricky Valerie, I think it might be Collet because I think there's an accent on the end, but
okay.
Like a umlaut kind of thing.
She is also Indigenous.
Wow.
So
she's checking all the boxes. Nice.
She is of Moluccan heritage, which was, I believe, was the last Dutch overseas colony, or maybe Guyana was, but one of the last Dutch overseas colonies. So we're spending a lot of time talking about gender. And there are a lot of remarkable things about Ricky Valerie Collet. She won a competition. Sorry, I say she. I don't know their pronouns. Anne, do you know?
I do not know their pronouns.
Okay. Then let's use the
But as Anne pointed out, she won Miss Netherlands.
Yes.
So you could probably safely go with the she, I would think. But I am definitely not the pronoun person.
I am going to go with they just to cover all the bases. I mean, it's quite a remarkable story. And you mentioned this earlier in the week about who now owns the Miss Universe corporation, franchise. What do we call it?
Sure.
And I'd like to hear more about that because that was really interesting.
Yeah. So listen, like this is all down to Google skills. So I mean, I think there's a couple of. I apologize because I did not realize that this time of day, the sun hits my face in a really weird angle, so it looks like I'm in a witness. It looks like I'm in a witness protection program here right now, with the top of my face being shielded.
Shall I change your voice to that voice you use when? Yeah.
May I say something, Anne, about the sun in your face?
Sure.
That I think the connection here is to the chiaroscuro in The Third Man, and as Orson Welles reveals himself, and we're not quite sure if he's a good character or a villain, and so now, in following the legacy of great American performers, because now you're on Jeff's show. This is just like Orson Welles.
Okay.
Right.
But hopefully hopefully. Although, anyway.
Folks, whenever the three of us talk offline, this is how the conversation goes.
Always goes.
Yep.
And it's usually one or two of us Googling whatever the other was talking about. Jim and I might say something about gaming, and Anne has to go or sports,
100%.
and Anne has to go Google that. And Jim uses all these big fancy words. He's a reader. And I have no idea what he's babbling about. So so this is how conversations go, leading one or two of us to go Google whatever it is the other person was talking about. So if you're lost, don't feel bad.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, I honestly, to me, I mean, like a lot of things, the owner of Miss, I guess the other reason why I think this is like, where's the story here, is I Googled, and the first trans competitor was in 2012. So, so this is not new news. The owner of Miss Universe is herself a trans person, trans woman. So, I kind of, where's the fire here? Like, as I say, I think it starts and ends with a beautiful woman won the competition. And the other thing, which I don't know how much Jeff and Jim knew before this, is
assume nothing.
Is in the pageant world, like, most people have no idea. In the pageant world, like, everybody's undergone plastic surgery. Everybody, like, they spend thousands of dollars on voice coaches, on performance coaches, on their wardrobe. So it's not that if you have in your mind these women sort of roll out of bed and maybe spend a little bit of extra time on hair and makeup before they walk onto stage. Oh, no, my friend. They are getting butt jobs. They are getting boob jobs. They are getting lip fills. They are getting whatever. They all are doing work. And it's in these competitions, at least I don't know if in all of them, but in many of them, that's completely legit. So, there's also, I think, this false idea that in the pageant world, that somehow in the public, that the person you see on stage, that they're presenting themselves exactly the way that everything was exactly the way they started with, and they made no alterations to their body. And to me,
I believe that.
That's you believed that until I told you that?
Until you told me that. I believe that that's how, my God, and whatever God you may or may, whatever deity you may believe in or not, made them.
Nope. So,
I also didn't know that Trump didn't own the Miss Universe organization anymore. I never also gave it a second thought. If you had asked me, I would have went, I don't know, Trump? I don't know. But I guess he had to give it up. I guess when he became president, he had to give shit up, and I guess that was one of them. And but I never really gave it a thought, but there's some good background. So yeah, go Google that. Go chat GPT the Miss Universe organization.
Yes.
And there's some interesting little factoids you would drop in.
Go Google beauty competitions. And while you're Googling, go Google intersex and find how it can be the case that people can be assigned something at birth, and then, which is about 2% of the population, and it's a whole complicated chromosomal thing. So I think, trans people get death threats like all the time. Trans people leave social media in droves because they literally get people, and I'll bet you anything Miss Netherlands is getting, you should just kill yourself. And you know what? Just leave people the fuck alone. If you don't like somebody, just keep your opinion to yourself.
Sounds good. All right. The next topic is for Jim, although I don't think we're going to spend too much time on it. Beauty pageant movies or toxic compilation films. I think Jim thought he was joking when he put this into the group chat. Here it is on a slide.
I wasn't joking, but I did think that it was a little unexpected to see the list here.
Yes, I woke up this morning and you were like, "What movies?"
That was me.
Exactly.
I was like,
"That was you." Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I had forgotten too. So Anne beat me in the text going, "What movies?" And which you're.
Some of these I'd never even heard of. I'd never heard of Smile.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about these movies.
Apparently, they shoot horses, don't they? I got wrong because you had to correct the slide this morning.
Right. Well, if we're talking about beauty pageants,
Only one I knew
think,
was Miss Congeniality. That's the only one I knew.
Right. Okay. Good one to go with. I would suggest that there's a common perception that there's something odd about beauty pageants. You know, there at the one time or at the one end, there's Miss America seemed to be about giving scholarships, and so
Miss
it seemed
America
like
was never about giving scholarships. Scholarship
all right, isn't
was the bullshit wrapping on the swimsuit competition. Miss America
all right,
started out as an Atlantic City
right,
promotion to
right,
try to get more
right.
people to come to Atlantic City. And they thought, I know, beautiful young women in bathing suits. That will get people to come to Atlantic City, but we have to make it a competition because otherwise that will somehow be more wholesome than just letting women parade around in bathing suits.
Now, wasn't there a point where the winner would get a scholarship?
I'm not disagreeing that winners get scholarships. All I'm saying is that that's just the
window dressing, if you will.
Window dressing. It's like charity galas where people are spending $1,000 a ticket,
right?
And of that ticket, you're lucky if 500 or 200 of it actually goes to the charitable cause. But it makes people feel better about getting dressed up in expensive, in tuxedos and expensive gowns and watching expensive entertainment. It's exactly the same thing.
Okay. All right. Good point. I wanted to separate that little bit, and did not choose my words precisely. Yes, swimsuits, and maybe evening gowns.
Anne has come fired up this morning. This is awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
right?
yeah. Well,
right.
but also, I mean, Jim, and
awesome.
I support this. Miss Universe has had as part of their mandate since the 80s promoting HIV/AIDS awareness, and so quite in recent years, when I was Googling, I found tons of videos of Miss Universe members, Miss Universe winners being tested for HIV. So they're really whatever, like every cloud has a silver lining or something, right? I mean, like it can be nonsense, but that doesn't mean there isn't a little bit of good in the nonsense.
Right. And speaking about a little bit of good in the nonsense, I want to go back to the list. Oh wait, I have to go my head this way, don't I, to point back to the list? Okay. So you've never heard of Smile, Jeff?
I don't think I have.
Oh my gosh.
I also don't get out much.
You would have. Let me think. If I do the math correctly, yeah, you probably would not have even seen this on cable as a kid.
Right.
An amazing film with Bruce Dern and a very young Annette O'Toole and Melanie Griffith about beauty pageants, and very cynical.
So you will love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow missed it.
It was directed by. Sorry, I have to consult my notes because I can't read my writing from here.
Rue Diggs, we know. See,
thank you. Michael Richter, and
I know.
I am absolutely certain you know.
I told you this was going to be a show like no other.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Jim's like this all the time, my friends. Jim's like this, and he's not. But he's like this about movies, and he's also like this about Russian history.
True.
So like Jim will like just pop out these like stats, and meanwhile the chat goes silent because Jeff and I are busily Googling whoever this top Soviet producer guy was.
Right. Well, in this case, it wasn't a Soviet producer. So, I feel like I haven't unloaded everything on you at once. But
even Crow Resin will say, we better get Jim to fact check that, because even Crow Resin yields to Jim when it comes to Russian information. And Crow usually is on top of a lot of Russian information, but he sometimes will yield to Jim and go, maybe get Jim to fact check that on that. Because,
Right.
you know,
of
all of us, you're the one with the degree in Russian.
Right. You want the
Something.
old redheaded wasp to be the Russian expert. Okay.
Correct. That is correct.
So
Well,
my
you're a
question-
I
white,
heard, it, to
you're a
be fair,
white
I heard
man,
of
so
Beston.
you know you're a
right.
white man. So 9 times out of 10 on television, you are the person that they're going to
Right.
be the expert
Right.
on anything, including women's beauty pageants.
Right. I was I was born an expert like every other white guy. So yeah, I'll embrace that burden.
I had heard of Best in Show.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what
Canadian content.
Canadian
Best in Show.
content. There we go.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy,
And I
Catherine
thought
O'Hara.
To Die For was a Bond movie, but apparently not.
I think that's the song "Live and Let Die."
Live and Let Die. That's not a beauty pageant movie. It's not on my list. So Smile's director, Michael Richter, did a film you probably saw a gazillion times. Both of you probably saw a gazillion times. I know I
He's
did.
the bad guy in Die Hard?
Bad News Bears.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh my gosh, I only saw that once.
Only once?
Yes, that was enough.
Okay, all right. Was it the Walter Matthau coach being drunk on the baseball diamond that did it for you?
No, I'm a black and white movies kind of gal.
Okay,
So,
all right.
for the most part, anything after about 1950 is suspect to me.
And Anne
Okay.
doesn't like the sports ball.
I do not particularly care for the sports ball.
Okay, black and white movies after 1950. Well, what about Sunset Boulevard? That's after 1950.
Great black and white movie after
Right?
1950. Yes.
Right? I feel like that could be a toxic competition film too.
It could indeed.
You know, if only he hadn't gone for the Vicuna. So Miss Congeniality, you know about the pageant is a backdrop for crime solving.
Yes.
Absolutely terrific. Cynical, maybe not cynical, maybe what's the word? I'm trying to be careful here. They made fun of.
This is YouTube. There's no rules. This is not cable.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But made fun of the beauty pageant process. Election, terrific film about high school elections and how far people would go to win even the most minor of victories. Really, really morally bankrupt characters in high school election. Little Miss Sunshine. Oh my gosh!
Isn't that little? I saw tweets about that. They were making a big comeback this year or last year. Wasn't that little smiley thing or something? Am I thinking of something else? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, carry on.
Oh, you know what you're thinking of? Oh, there's the
Carry
movie
on.
Little Miss Sunshine, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, has like Steve Carell and a bunch of
Yes.
other people.
Yes.
And there's also those like little children's books, like
Yeah.
Yes.
little,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and they're like
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
This one's
Wow.
the independent movie.
All right, carry on, Jim.
Yes.
I'll stop talking.
Made a
I will stop
boatload
talking.
of
I'll just move the slides.
and I believe it was released in July 2006. But the plot is getting everyone to this beauty pageant and
Child's beauty pageant.
Pardon me? Child beauty pageant. Yes.
Yeah, that's the other
Oh.
thing about pageants.
Yes. And
That's such a good thing to do to your young child.
yes, and an interesting commentary on the hypersexualization of kids, and the mother's line. I think it's the mother's line. Let olive be olive. So complaints about all of these or views on all of these other girls in the pageant doing hypersexualized things, and then Olive goes out on stage and does a striptease burlesque thing because it's the only dance she knows. Black Swan, a very Mephistophelian kind of feel to it. as someone is there's a competition to be the Odette. Is that the name of the?
Yes, Odette is
yeah.
the name, but the rest of the
How
rest
do
of
you
people
how do you,
the
how do
rest
you
of
spell
people are
that?
busily googling Mephistophelian
That's
right
what
now.
I was
So
about to
stop
do.
listening.
It's like,
Well, hold
Because
on,
you
hold
couldn't
on, because
you couldn't use
Mephistophelian.
satanic. You couldn't have used
Mephistophelian
satanic
comes in
because
and
that
they
would
shoot horses, don't they? That's the one you really want to look up. So this is a 1969 film by Sidney Pollack, and it is about Depression era dance marathons, and Gig Young is the Mephistophelian MC, and encouraging the dancers to keep going and offering them more and more until they break, until they have nothing left, and they've literally, I would say in this case, literally is a good word to use, although I really mean figuratively, sold their souls to the MC. To Die For, a much more recent film with Nicole Kidman.
not a Bond movie.
It's not a Bond movie.
also not a Bond movie. I feel like if the category were Bond movies, you would be able to beat Jim and my asses on that.
Well, possibly.
Right. Except maybe we could get them on the two Bond films that weren't produced by Broccoli.
Well, or I feel like we could definitely get him, because evidently this has turned into a 2-against-1 show. We could definitely get him on how the Bond is based on Ian Fleming's brother
Mm-hmm.
and his exploits. And I bet, Jim, you may be the only other person I know to have read Ian Fleming's brother's book, News from Tartary, which is filled of like he's taking a camel here and he's doing this there, and like it is kind of a wild book. And he actually broke the news in that book. It's in the 1930s. Actually broke the news in the book of the Japanese invasion of China.
Right.
So.
Right. So if this were going to be a Bond film, I think it would be To Live and Let Die For.
Right.
Or To Die For Another Day. We could do that. Different competition. And the last one, Best in Show. Oh my gosh, this is the most hilarious. I would suggest the most
more Canadian content. More Canadian content, Christopher.
Right,
yes.
Right, and also dog content.
And dog content.
Yes.
That dog. So true story, and I think an early Jane Lynch film appearance.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So yes. True story. I went to go see this because I like these movies, and I'm sitting there. And so you have to know that I'm in Toronto, and we're all in the greater Toronto Hamilton area, and there are a lot of movies get shot here. And oftentimes there are people in the movies who are smaller, have smaller roles or extras, and they live in this area because they bring a movie in here and then they'll shoot folks. That's like Umbrella Academy is a bit overpopulated with local Canadian actors. So back to Best in Show, I'm literally sitting in the movie theater, just watching the movie and enjoying it. And all of a sudden this one character goes on and I say out loud, "Oh my gosh, that's my neighbor." It's my neighbor, Linda Cash. Our kids were in the same public school together. She was in that show. So I apologize again to all the people who were at the whatever movie theater, the Varsity, that I said that out loud.
A lot of Hallmark Christmas movies are made around here.
Yes.
A lot of Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes. I feel like Netflix is a great place to go and look for what a Hamilton neighborhood could look like with a little bit of CGI.
Yeah. Well, they do look like that up here.
Okay, fair.
Remember, I live up here.
Right. You live in the
Tony part of Hamilton,
the lower taxed part of town.
No, I think we're taxed the same. Fun fact:
my friend,
if I was to walk,
really, Jeff, you're going to bring like a governmental regulation, like talk about bringing a knife to a gunfight, Jeff.
I want to see the analytics after this show, and as soon as we start talking about property taxes in Hamilton, the audience goes.
I think we lost them at Mephistophelian.
I think we lost them long before that. Fun fact, if I was to walk a couple of blocks north and then a couple of blocks north, south, east, I could look actually down and throw stuff at Jim's house. I've never tried it, but that's how close we kind of live. Although as the birds, we're close as the birds fly, but as the car drives, it's a whole 5 minutes.
Right. I have a feeling that you could also turn that into a toxic competition, and maybe get a crowd of folks.
So a few other last little things here. Just want to know if you've heard about these. Some fun little things. Shout out to Ryzak and his weird PowerPoint. So since we're all in fundraising, so we all have real jobs and we're all in fundraising, we're just not great content creators. Massachusetts is going to pass a law where all these legacy rich kids, they're going to start getting taxed. They're going to have to start getting some tax. Harvard, obviously, is the big one. Somebody that's not on list because they don't do it anymore or have never done it is MIT. But you can see here, Harvard's going to have to pay $103 million because, the kids of alumni get kind of in for free or get, treatment over some other, kid. Now, I think a lot of these have gone away from this. They don't do this anymore. I think especially like BC and Wellesley and some of the others. But
so take a step back with this, just in case everybody hasn't been reading this in the news the way we have. So let's start with, if you are, J. Wilbert Smedlington IV, and your father, who inherited all his money from the grandfather, who inherited all his money from the great-grandfather, who was the one who actually had brains and hard work. But J. Smedlington IV, who, barely made it through high school majoring in beer, because you're a legacy, your father went to Harvard. I don't know if you're automatically admitted but you have a huge advantage in terms of being admitted. Mm-hmm. And it's because your father went to Harvard,
and his father,
whatever,
and his father before him.
The other thing, which surprises none of us as fundraisers, but seems to surprise everybody else, is, or if your father makes a large enough contribution to Harvard, you can get in. This seems to surprise everybody else. I have no idea why. So let's start. Just be sure we have the same kind of common understanding. So what's interesting is, because then there's this recent Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action. And so this is a reaction to that. So I will note that there was a thing I saw recently about Western Illinois University, where they had an affirmative action scholarship for people who are traditionally discriminated against. So, people who are African-American, people who are indigenous, like all those groups. So they had that scholarship for $1,000 a year. And then they had a legacy fund scholarship for $1,500 a year. And that was for the children of alumni. So thanks to the Supreme Court ruling now, there's no scholarship for African-American people, but there's still the legacy fund scholarship. So the comment someone else has made is, all these legacy programs. So it's kind of the, be able to go to a university and go to a high status university where you're going to make all these great business connections is basically affirmative action for the wealthy and powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this showed up on.
This is a proposed law. So I think, Jeff, you saying it's going to pass. This is something that one person has introduced in the legislature. I think the chances it's going to pass are very low, personally. But
I'm just
it's
going by what I heard. I'm just going by what I heard. My boy Robert.
Yeah,
Frank
but it's a good talking point.
Whatever.
And
Robert Frank is the
in
wealth expert on CNBC. So.
and in the fundraising cycle for American politicians at every level, introducing this kind of legislation may have no hope in hell, but it certainly will generate fundraising opportunities for a state politician.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was really cynical, wasn't it?
Anne is American. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Anne was born American. Since we're talking, things at birth. Anne was born American, and so
American is a legal status, which I continue to hold.
Oh, there you go.
You do notice we've completely shut down the chat, so I think at this point we are the only people.
I think so. I think we're just talking to ourselves, which is
I don't even think any of our families watching now.
Oh no! My kids are sleeping. There's no way anyone that I know is watching this.
Oh yeah, mine too. So you're American and a Democrat, and so I'm going to call him your guy, Robert F. Kennedy. And Jim, what is your comment about the Kennedys? You have a Kennedy comment.
Will this get you canceled on any?
No, it's YouTube, not YouTube.
Okay, all right. I believe you want me to repeat my assertion that the wrong Kennedys die young.
Yes, that's a little cold. That's a little cold. That's a little cold.
Right.
Thank you, Crow.
So
Crow's still here. He's just not big on the politics.
Yeah.
Because we got to talk more Russian.
Ukrainian. So Jeff, if you could keep my home address a secret for the time being.
Sure.
I mean, the Kennedys are just Nepo babies. I mean, that also, right? Like, so, I mean, Robert Kennedy, he's just a guy. He's a guy with a super famous name, with a super famous uncle and a famous dad. And, you should believe his knowledge of what's chemicals in the water. I mean, he is an environmental activist, but you should believe him in terms of this as much as you should believe me in terms of anything I say about Skylanders
or sports,
right?
Yeah. And our final topic before we get into the 5 guesses is
wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
I want to find out where RFK is drinking the water that he has become immune to becoming gay or transgendered.
Is it bottled water? Maybe he gets it right from a spring in Bummy Bump, Maine, wherever he's from. Does he live there? Does he still?
I don't know. I mean, they're from Massachusetts, but I don't know where he lives.
But don't they have that place in Maine? The
Kennebunkport.
There you go.
Kennebunkport.
There you go. Do they still have the compound?
If he's got a secret source of water,
right?
I have a feeling that someone is going to start selling that water as a solution to something.
Straight water,
right? So maybe. Let's see. It's got to be a catchy name.
It's not. It could be Hamilton water.
Well, if it's Hamilton water, then we pack it with extra nutrients. Yeah.
You don't turn trans or gay, but you might get a third eye.
Right. Which is important if you're going to have a healthy chakra. Right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. The final topic is trending right now. In addition to the writers, the actors have gone on strike, which is great for us YouTubers because people can't watch TV, so they're going to go to YouTube and they're going to watch shows like this. So all of us
learn about the word mestophelian.
Exactly. So all of us who make content need to step up our game because there's going to be all these people who have no TV to watch, no scripted television to watch, and there's no one acting in them. So they're going to come to YouTube to watch our, fabulous shows. But I know you. Do either of you watch scripted television?
Not very much.
When you asked that question earlier, Jeff, I was thinking about just the stuff that comes over the air on cable or satellite, and then I realized I have a Disney Plus subscription, so yeah, I do watch scripted shows. Crow is here because of the actor strike, so he's piping in at the right time.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Disney, Bob Iger this week
Yes.
made
Did not put that
an
slide in on
absolutely
there.
stunning statement in his out loud voice around the WGA strike, which is we're going to start waiting until people lose their houses and their apartments. And then there are an
the
awful
guy
lot
who makes $30 million a day.
Right.
Yeah, who flew in on his private jet to some retreat, some billionaire retreat in the mountains.
Yeah.
Right. And then 30 years, we're going to find out that it's a horrible gathering of folks doing all sorts of awful things. But in the meantime, we can judge the words that he's made this week, which. Of course, the goal is to make people work as cheaply as possible. If you own a multi-billion-dollar company, or if you're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company, and there are a couple of other big strikes on the horizon. So the Writers Guild strike is small in comparison to the SAG-AFTRA strike. But UPS Teamster drivers may go on strike. There's the possibility of a UAW strike this year.
Teamsters, is that Jimmy Hoffa still causing trouble?
Yeah, I think we can go off on the anniversary of Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance on July 30th on a future show if you'd like.
Okay, sure.
But there is a lot of these strikes, or a lot of these potential strikes, are around dislocation. A very different type of technological dislocation than when robots were adopted in factories, or there was a higher degree of automation. And a lot of this is around, I would suggest, a lot of this is around AI, around the virtualization of work. And in the case of the Writers Guild, the studios want smaller writers' room, or mini writers' room, so they can employ fewer writers, and turn their backs on a strategy that has earned them billions and billions in profits. The actors, similarly, these folks have made, they've entertained us, and many of them make very good money, but most of them don't. Most of them make very little money, and residuals help them get through. And so an attack on the residual system, getting paid for your work long after you've done the work, is a big issue for those folks. The Teamsters, everything has become a compromise on driver security to get things delivered as quickly as possible. The volumes of deliveries have increased, and relying on outsourced drivers, or many more part-time drivers, has caused a lot of challenges for those of us who rely on the Amazons and the linen closets and the Wayfarers of the world. And folks want to benefit from where the money was made during the pandemic in that case. Did I say too much? Is Crow Resin still here? I'm just
watching the viewer count drop the further we go on in the show.
So there are still ways that members of SAG-AFTRA can appear in new productions. But I want to suggest the first big impact that people are going to talk about will be next weekend's San Diego Comic-Con, where the actors can't turn up and talk about their projects.
Mm-hmm.
There's my nerd reference.
There you go. Big Ol' Mac said that he went, "Oh no, they're not going to be able to make your Christmas movies. What are you going to do in December?" Those were Big Ol' Mac's exact words when I mentioned the strike to him. He didn't seem to. So we'll have to see how long this lasts. Some people say it might last the whole rest of the year because now August is when they start making the fall shows, right? They start,
or that Well, the Disney movies, the Christmas movies do get made August, September because I think they're very condensed. The everything that's being released in 2023 for the most part, I would think is done
in the can, ready to go.
Yeah. Where we're going to see it is 2024. Like it's going to be, it's going to start to be very thin. Even if they go off strike tomorrow, it's going to be very thin next February, March, April.
I predict a lot more Polish and Korean shows on Netflix and Peacock and Paramount Plus and HBO Max.
Yeah. I guess, Disney and your boy Bob Iger, he's, they're getting rid of a lot of people at ESPN. I know you guys aren't following the sports, but they've been, mind you, they've also been paying a lot of money to one or two people, but they've been getting rid of a lot of lower people.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly the point, right?
So,
okay. 5 guesses. Here we go.
Five guesses.
Wait a minute. I thought this section was called 5 dresses.
Oh, do you have those set up ready to?
I went out and picked up 5 new outfits for this week.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm 1 dress ahead of you because I'm wearing a dress.
You're also socks ahead of me too.
Well, we know that.
Yes.
That's always true.
Yes.
I'm always ahead of you on socks.
Today's question comes courtesy of Ryzak.
Ooh.
Okay. It's good to have you.
This will be a tough one.
Okay.
You know what? It's fairly easy, I believe. How do you pronounce that word?
Okay. Landfare.
That is not the real question, folks.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you can hear this.
All right. I was going with Jan Fair pillow gynecologist.
I can't play the sound, but maybe you can hear.
Okay, I'm prepared to give you all my 5 guesses because I was wrong right at the jump.
Yeah. Right. I feel like
if you just Google how to pronounce and then you just type in LLAN, it's the first thing that pops up on the Google. And if you go and look at Ryzak, Ryzak tweeted that out. I commented on his tweet with that, and I also commented a YouTube video I found of some guy teaching you how to pronounce it.
Okay.
If you really want to know how to pronounce words in Welsh.
I was prepared to make a Mephistophelian deal to get the pronunciation right on that.
I believe you max the limit of times you can use that word.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So now I have to go and talk about a Faustian deal. Is that what I go to next?
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
Your real question is, and I got a feeling the rumor in the house is that Jim will get this. Not that Anne won't. Not that you won't get this.
Okay.
But the feeling into some members of the household that Jim would get this. What does AM and PM stand for?
Antemeridian, post-meridian.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. First try. Even Ryzak doesn't get him on first try. That's it.
Okay. Jim?
That's it.
Well, here's your 5 guesses.
No, that was my guess too.
No, I was talking about here's Jeff's 5 guesses.
Oh, my question.
Oh, she's shaking it up, giving me questions. That's your next episode. When I come on your podcast, you can give me quick.
Yeah, well, we're down to 0 viewer count anyway. So like,
That's
Yeah.
true. Might as well.
you know, we're 66% of the viewers right now.
Right. And Jeff, I know you're up for a competition. I know that you are a competitive person. And knowing
Uh-oh.
that we had a question that we could ask
Dear.
and you just backed away from does not seem characteristic of Jeff, because I'm sure you can get this question if only we asked it.
Mm. All right. Well, I'm going into a tunnel. I'm heading into a tunnel, so I might not hear you.
Right? Right.
Hang on. Let me
Okay.
just get my phone. Type in Google. How many O's in Google? Right. All right. Ask away.
Well, it depends. Is it the search engine or is it the math term?
Indeed.
Okay.
It's a
What?
Somehow, I think they had a group chat without me. I have a
Oh,
feeling they were
yes.
having their
Oh,
own
yeah.
group chat
Really?
without me involved.
Yes, yes.
What
And it
makes
went
you
off
think
into
that, Jeff?
interesting
It's not,
tangents.
which kind of maybe I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be offended by that.
What last happened? Is that what it was? What was
Yes.
yes? What last happened in American presidential year 1900?
Or you might say what didn't happen in
Oh,
presidential.
I think that's the next clue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But we want you to be successful, Jeff.
I
We
thought,
want you
I thought it was a sports question.
to. There is no
No.
pure competition than politics, Jeff.
I thought it was a sports question.
Oh, I can give you a sports question after this.
Mm-hmm.
Really? The sport person has a sports question? Nice.
Yep, I do.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you two been busy this week. You two been busy prepping this week. I guess it's a
Like-
long walk. Walking the dog. I guess you had a lot of time to walk in Google when you're.
Right. And I was on vacation this week, so
I need some help from the chat. What didn't happen in presidential year 1900? Didn't know that was a presidential year.
1900.
What didn't
Right.
happen? Looking to Crow. I'm looking to Crow resin.
What happens usually in presidential? What is that happens in presidential election years? Other than the whole.
I was going to say the
Election.
election.
right. Other than the election and the October surprise.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which happens every election year.
sure. Did the winner believe that? No, did the loser actually think they won? And did they storm the Capitol?
You know, Jeff, I like your grasp of current affairs. And
This is why Jim's such a good parent.
and
I like
in,
your grasp of current affairs, Jeff.
Right.
That was an excellent effort.
and in 1901, there was a storming in Buffalo, but no,
There's
not
always a storm in Buffalo. Watch the Buffalo. There's always a storm in Buffalo.
Right. I was thinking a political storm. Was it 1901 that McKinley was assassinated?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I like
Okay.
SPG's answer. Corruption, pay to win.
Yes.
Well, that
No,
was Rutherford B. Hayes, but thanks for trying.
Yeah. I think.
Thanks for playing our game.
I don't think we can
Pick
go
up your
far enough back
consolation
in
prize
history.
as you head out the door.
Would you like another guess? Another hint?
The presidential they something around a train. They didn't take the train. This is the first time they didn't take a train across the country when they won. Because usually if they win, then they have to take a train somewhere to Washington.
We're down to Jim. Shall we give him a slightly more
Right. I think so. I think a slightly more specific hint.
Okay. So what is?
Sorry. You were going to give the hint?
No, you give the hint. It's your question.
Okay. All right. So Anne has already pointed out that it is something that usually happens, almost always happens in a presidential election year. I'm going to suggest that the next hint is about it's something to do with the calendar.
Sorry, I'm going in a tunnel. breaking up with my answer.
Do you hear that, Mr. Anderson? That's the sound of inevitability.
Now everyone's going to Google that word. I should have renamed this episode to "Come here and learn how to Google words" that Ann and Jim use.
Sponsored by Merriam-Webster Dictionary.
Ooh, yes.
You could get a new sponsor out of this.
I should have got a new sponsor. Should have got them to sponsor the encyclopedia. Who makes the Britannica for the encyclopedia? Do they still make encyclopedias?
Right,
something around
online.
the date.
They can make them online.
Do they? All right.
Focus on the calendar.
Something around the calendar. So, is it the first time or the last time that the whatever Tuesday in November the election took place?
No. Good guess. Good guess.
It's the only thing I know about the date of the election. I don't even know the date of the election.
And your grasp of American history, if it had been about the inauguration date, that would have been a good guess too, because it did change in the 20th century.
I was talking about the voting day. Isn't it like the Tuesday in November sometime?
Yeah, no, that I believe that's set in the Constitution or something.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't read it. As like most Americans, I have not read it.
I was just going to say, like everyone who cites the Constitution, no one's read it. Yeah, it's a little like the Bible that way.
Both good reads, I understand.
Right, and big finishes.
Yeah.
Well, the Torah is, well, if I'm Jewish, for those who don't know, the Torah, not that big a finish in the Torah, arguably. I mean, a finish, yes. I mean, Moses dies, and then he goes to sleep.
Epilogue in the Bible goes on forever.
What? Spoiler alert. You didn't say spoiler alert for those of us that have not read it. For those of you that have not read it.
Those of you who have not read the Old Testament, Moses dies and goes to sleep with his ancestors.
Again, spoiler alert for those.
Sorry.
Right. And
now you've ruined the book.
There might have been some metaphors.
Yes. Jim was ruining movies earlier. Now you're ruining the book.
That's okay.
Next we need someone to ruin a video game for you.
Well,
there you go.
There you go. Okay.
I have no foggy idea. And I have no idea how I'm going to edit this into a short.
Okay,
let me just say.
What happens every 4th February? Yes. Quadrennial.
Now, this quadrennial brought to you by Merriam-Webster Dictionary.
Yeah, see, exactly. Jeff, do you know anybody who was born between February 28th and March 1st? No. Okay. So the American presidential election coincides with leap year, except leap years that end in the 00, except when the century is divisible by 4.
I did not know that.
1900
is always on a leap year. It's always on a leap year.
Yes, sir.
Except in 1900 and 1800. Was there a presidential election in 1800?
Oh, I wasn't there. Let me call my mother and ask her, because she was alive then.
Ooh,
burn. What did she do to deserve a political burn?
Yeah, wow.
It was more of an age.
So I'm pretty sure there was an election in 1800. It just was, a bunch of white guys voting.
Slave owning white guys, but anyway.
Yes, yeah, good point.
Okay. Ready for my question, Jeff?
So what was the answer?
Last time there was a presidential election and not a leap year in the same year. 1900.
Oh.
Okay. Because 2000.
So I did not know presidential elections happened on leap years.
See, so this show is educational.
I said that earlier. I said this show is educational.
Okay, ready for mine?
Sure.
What major sporting event starts next week?
Major sporting event starts at the end of July. Huh. Because Wimbledon's going on now. We'll talk about that next week. That little bike thing they do in France. is going on now. It's not the baseball. It's football OTAs, but I'm sure you're not talking about that. Sure you're not talking about football and because the Hall of Fame game is coming up, and so the teams that are playing in the Hall of Fame game will start practice and start training camp next week. So training camp does start next week. The Cowboys are the week after for the Cowboys. So I'm sure it's not about that.
Can I clarify something? This is a question just for Jeff, right?
No, anybody can answer. We let the chat answer the questions too.
So I should stop Googling now. I just wanted to be clear about that.
No, you can keep going. Paul Bayram woke up from the UK. And speaking of Paul Bayram in the UK, did you guys see Lionel Messi, which is some soccer guy, and he's now in the States playing soccer somewhere. Everybody was taking pictures because he was just out grocery shopping. Like, just him. He just went to.
Because evidently he needs to eat like any human.
Apparently, and he didn't have an entourage. He didn't have people. He didn't have security around him in case Britney Spears came running up to him. That's a shout out to last week's show. Okay. Major sporting. What's your definition of major is? So it can't be soccer. The new soccer game being made by EA, but that's gaming, but that comes out in August. That's not it. There's tennis, golf. Could be golf. It could be something with I'm gonna go a live golf tournament.
Nope. Do I start giving you hints now? Because you're never going to get this at the rate you're going.
Well, then it doesn't count as major. Just go ahead. I'll just edit it.
It's an.
I will repeat your answer and then edit it to make it sound like I got the answer correct.
It's an international competition, Jeff.
Ooh, it's an international competition, Paul. That begins next week. The World Badminton or not badminton. Arm wrestling. Could be the arm wrestling championships.
That's 2 guesses.
Oh dear. Okay, so we got what was my first guess? My first guess was
Jeff. Here, I'm gonna give you a hint.
Foosball?
Okay, that's 3 guesses. Think about who's asking you this question, a person who doesn't otherwise follow sport. Why would I know about an international competition when I don't otherwise follow sport? What else might I draw my attention or be of interest to me?
It's a great question. Do I get 5 guesses at that question?
No.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
That was enough for Jim. 100% that was enough for Jim.
Because now I have to change my second guess.
Clearly, I don't know Anne as well as. Clearly, I don't know Anne as well as I think I know Anne.
There've been lots of conversation. There's been actually quite a lot of conversations about which athletes have been allowed to participate in this international competition and which athletes have not been allowed to participate in this competition. Does Crow Resin's wrong guess count as one of your wrong guesses?
No, that's one of his 5 guesses.
Wait, the guests get 5 guesses too?
And the chat gets 5 guesses. Everybody gets. You get 5 guesses. You get 5 guesses. You get 5 guesses. Everybody gets 5 guesses. That was a good guess, though, Crow. I was thinking something cosplay related. I was thinking something.
Canadian team's already left.
It's not sailing. The Canadian team has already left for the competition.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know. And clearly, I do not know Anne as well as I should know Anne.
Jim, do you want to take 5 guesses on this, or did you Google?
Well, I Googled and
see, I don't Google. We don't.
I was thinking maybe the Women's World Cup.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yep, it's the Women's World Cup.
Okay. I thought it already started though, so that's why I wasn't.
Yeah,
going.
yeah, me too. I actually, because I had
No,
it on
they've
our notes for
there.
Ryzak.
They've gotten there.
Okay.
There's a whole controversy about which there's players from, I think it's Iran, who aren't allowed to attend.
Mhm.
There's a note that French players, if they were Muslim, would not be allowed to wear a hijab, so they would not be allowed to be on the French team. So this ties all the way back to the comment about men having opinions about what women wear.
My second guess was
Yes.
going to be wrong because I looked at the calendar and it's not next week. And I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but my second guess, based on one of your clues, was the Maccabi games.
Oh, Maccabia, though those started a week or so ago.
Okay, all right. See, so I knew that was wrong on a couple of.
But
fronts.
I wouldn't have expected you guys to know that one.
Well, they have
This-
baseball
this
in it,
is-
so of course we'd know about it.
This is a callback to, which may not appear in your Twitter feed a lot, but appears in mine all the time, where some journalist says to Andy Murray, "That's an amazing accomplishment. You've won X number of
Right.
Wimbledons. That's the most of anyone." And Andy Murray says, "For men." And they say,
Yes.
because Venus and Serena have run more.
Yes.
They've won more Wimbledons and they've
Yeah.
won more Olympics.
Yes.
And we have taught, and I should have known that because we have discussed that on the show. Because Ryzak, as a father of a female athlete, we often discuss stuff that is happening in female sports, especially because he has, like you both. Well, you don't have daughters that are athletes, I guess. So
I have a daughter who is a well concussed former athlete.
there you go. And I don't know the athletic prowess of either of Jim's children.
I would say that
One is more of a gamer than a sportser.
Right. I was going to say that that one is a champion on the trampoline in my hearts, and the other dispatches villains in Spider-Man like no one else.
True.
There you go.
True
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Cool.
That's
Well, that was
it.
fun. How the hell I'm going to edit all that together?
Edit.
You're welcome. You're
Wait
welcome.
a minute.
You're
I
welcome.
thought there was a no edit clause. Oh
No, you should get your lawyer to read the contract.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't sign
Well,
the contract.
You know,
did I?
actually going all the way back, one of the things about this AI thing is similar to streaming, like it's not in people's contracts. So there are already people, because there was this thing in this show Pierced or something where they already imaged a bunch of people. And they weren't asked to give consent. It's not in their contract. Like it's.
Yeah. Well, but they've done that before. Like Carrie Fisher passed away and they did some stuff with her.
Yeah.
So this is not everyone's like freaking out over AI. It's not really new. They with CGI and with other stuff they've been able to isn't it in the new somebody correct me, the new Indiana Jones, don't they CGI him younger for something? I haven't seen the new game. I haven't seen the new movie. Did they not do something along those lines?
I imagine it hits different for people when it's because it also, gosh, I want to say way back in the movie Gladiator, and there was, I can't remember, some famous actor who died and they had one last scene with him and they CGI. I think it hits differently when it's this entire movie is now going to have to be reshot.
Right.
If we don't do this last scene with this person, and presumably with the consent of their family, versus we're gonna capture your image and use it forever.
And there's a low matrix of compensation.
Yeah, and we're going to pay you for one day's work for that, but we'll use it forever, and we will profit off that forever, but you won't.
Yeah.
That was to drive away any remaining people on the stream.
Correct.
I want to point back to how there was a controversy around Forrest Gump and blending in historical figures.
True, because I don't think he met Kennedy.
I have a feeling you're right. I have a feeling he was also not in China playing ping pong. But
No?
just a feeling. But before that, the controversy was around Woody Allen for a completely different reason. And
for a non-pedophilic reason.
yes, exactly. And his film Zelig.
Yes.
Which, if it weren't a Woody Allen film, we might go back and look at and go, oh, that's cool now, realizing that the technology has moved on. But
I like Crow, thought Forrest Gump was a biopic.
Right. Understood.
I thought it was a biopic. So.
Understood.
Arguably, it is a biopic of America.
Yes. Ooh, like a metaphor.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid the use of metaphor. You're in charge of the big words today, Jim.
Oh, okay. All right.
True that. Okay, well, I think that's all we're going to do today. Anne has to take the doggy for a walk.
Yes,
and
Augustus waits.
Augustus's bladder waits for no man.
That's true.
And or woman or anything else.
Anyone else.
Oh, the show is getting deep. Now we're just getting deep. Where's he been for the last 90 minutes? But I do want to thank you both. If you guys couldn't do the show, I would have had to have AI. I would have had to have an AI Ryzak. Because it too is not in his contract that I could not use his likeness. So I guess I would have had to do to make an AI Ryzak. But thank you both. Jim, when is the next Skylander Super Sat? It's not today.
No, it's not today. It's next Saturday. Super spectacular Skylander Saturday stream with game to be announced is next Saturday.
Oh, we don't know the game?
July 22nd.
We don't know the game.
Which is surprisingly close to a famous Watergate anniversary.
Everything is close to a Watergate anniversary.
Is that going to come up?
Well, we
we have to bring Watergate up in every episode now, don't we? I also have.
Well, now that I know that we're not allowed to talk about Russia anymore. Yes, there is. During the summer months, it's surprisingly easy to find a Watergate anniversary.
Okay.
All right. So you have Crusher and you have Swarm. I have Thumbtack.
I have others in this bag.
Yeah. As someone who grew up around Watergate on the TV, I'm not surprised. I remember spending that entire summer with my mother just watching
Same here.
Watergate on television. And we had a lot of pizza and fried chicken because she just watched Watergate the whole time.
I didn't watch it with my mother. I disregarded my mother's views as she headed off to work in the factory when she said, "Go outside today."
But we did that back in the day. That's what we used to do. Yeah. We used to leave the house at 8 a.m. and come back when the street lights came on. And fun fact, our parents never knew who we were, where we were. Yeah. And wherever house we ended up at lunch is whose mother made us lunch.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So lunchtime, the recess times, I went outside.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that why you're so sort of palish?
I think that might have more to do with heritage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you want to say anything about you? You don't produce the content, but you could promote your award-winning son.
I don't produce the content, but tomorrow, Sunday, is a big stream for Atmospheres because I think based on a view count challenge, tomorrow is the boyfriend reveal.
Ooh.
Oh.
So.
Oh. Is it a reveal for you or for the rest of the world?
No, for the rest of the world.
Oh, you already know?
Yes. Lovely young man.
Nice.
Very lovely young man.
Nice. Toronto boy. Nice Toronto boy.
Toronto, lives in Toronto currently. Don't know. I have not done I have not done 20 questions with him. You know, the mother-in-law 20 questions. Where are you from? What's your job? Can you make
as a Jewish mother? Is that not your job?
Does your job have good promotional? How stable is your industry? Does your job have the opportunity for movement?
Is he a doctor? Don't Jewish mothers want? I'm stereotyping here. Don't Jewish mothers want?
Yeah, really. I just think you don't want to. And these people want to go drink their coffee.
Okay. All right. That sounds fair.
And my battery warning light just came on. I didn't.
Well, that's a
plug
good
it
time
before.
to end it then. Well, thank you
Right?
both for being here as always.
Right. This is like the battery warning light is like the bad date alert. Right.
That's right. That's right. Being the single man you are now, Jim. And at some point in the future, I'm going to foreshadow, you will see us together for chicken in downtown Toronto.
Yes.
Yes. Now I have to go Google and see if they, in fact, I want a picture or a video with that dude that makes those. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not missing anything, but there's a guy who makes these TikToks, and someone in my house said he's like a used car salesman for chicken, because all he's doing is just screaming into the video about his chicken.
I see Mel Lastman when he's selling chicken.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Of
Thanks,
blessed
everyone.
memory.
All right.
You guys hang on for just a second. I'm going to end the stream. There's going to be Jim left. Okay. Bye, Jim.